the Greater Accra Regional Minister, security agencies, and the MC for Wejagbawe toured Ramsar site in the municipality to oversee the start of a planned demolition exercise. The operation follows President John Maham's recent visit to Ramsar reserves and flood-prone areas in Accra, where he issued a strong warning that all structures on protected lands and waterways would be removed. My colleague Adobe Asari was on the ground in Wejagbawe and joins me in studio to share what unfolded there. Adobe, great to have you back in the studio. Now, you were at this particular Ramsar site.
Right.
Tell us exactly what you saw.
So, what happened was that the regional minister, together with some security agencies, I saw the army there, I saw national security, the police, even NADMO, so many security agencies, and some of the DCs and MCs. We went to Wejagbawe municipality. The first Ramsar site we visited, the Honorable Minister, Linda Oklu, was very unhappy because no work had begun yet. You know, ideally, the place is supposed to be marshy or swampy, but the place had been filled with rocks, ready for construction. They had prepared the land, filled the entire place with rocks, and then the company that was found to do that is Kitech, is owned by a Chinese man. They deal in car parts and home appliances. So he's been summoned, the company has been summoned to court, but she was unhappy that they hadn't started anything there. So she instructed that the company, with their own expenses, dig out whatever rocks they filled the land with.
So they should scoop out the filling that they've done on the land.
Everything. So that
how big is the place?
Oh, we're talking a lot of land. I mean, it's very big. If I'm not exaggerating, it should be around a pitch, a whole football pitch or more. You know the Ramsar site as Wejagbawe, if you've been there before, it's very big. And they filled the entire place ready for, I think they wanted to erect a building, but they've been instructed to take out everything from there. Now we go to the second site. It's been encroached not for construction, but they've made the place a scrap dealing hub. We saw so many metals there, and then there was a lot of waste, plastic waste and fashion. That's this, what we call Obroni Wewu, second-hand clothing. They were there. I mean, it was a heap of clothes. And then according to one of the secretaries who was with the regional minister, I've forgotten his name, he said most of the waste that comes there are from the central Accra. So he mentioned places like Agboglushi, where they find a way to bring all this waste. So the tricycles come and dump the waste there. So like I said, nobody. Oh,
so more like a dumping site.
Yes. So that place is now a dumping site and a scrap dealing hub. So when we went, I think there were about 2 excavators. They were dredging the place. They were taking out some of the waste because some have been dug very deep into the soil, and then they were taking them out, and then the regional minister instructed that the place is secured 24/7, so that no tricycle comes to dump any waste there. And if anyone is caught, the person is apprehended and sent to the police. So she was a bit satisfied at the second site because work was ongoing. Now we go to the third Ramsar site, which is at Dansoman. There were some structures there, about 4. We don't know who the owners were, but there was a man operating a caterpillar. He was filling some part of the site. Like I said, it's supposed to be a marshy area, but they do fill it with sand or rocks before they, lay the foundation and erect the building. I think he had been taxed to do that, but then when he saw the convoy coming in with all the national security agencies, the pressmen, he attempted to flee. And then the soldiers pursued him, and then they caught up with him. So they instructed him to use his caterpillar to bring down the buildings. Yeah, so the soldiers were in the caterpillar with him, and they gave him instructions. Put this down, do that, do that.
So they pulled down all the 4 buildings?
Yes. So NADMO came with a caterpillar.
That's all we're seeing?
Yes. Wow. So NADMO came with a caterpillar. They were doing that already. And then the soldiers, when they caught up with the man, taxed them to do that. So there were 2 caterpillars on site pulling down the building. Yeah, the structures. But we don't know who the owners were. But one thing I also noticed was...
So, but are these structures habitable?
No, Grace, they're on Ramsar site, and where they are situated...
I mean, You say 4 buildings. Are they completed or
no,
they are?
No,
okay.
They are not completed.
Okay.
People were not in them. However, there were some structures right at the edges of the site. People were there watching. I'm sure they were wondering whether or not they would be affected. But I saw some soldiers go there to speak to them and then came back. I was not so sure of what they spoke about, but they were left. It's also incompleted, but people were living in them. But then once people were not living in them, everything was just brought down. Now, when we're on our way out, another person had built, and then it was kind of entering the road, as in the structure had gone too far and was
beyond his or her plot.
Exactly. And so they just pulled down his wall and then gave him the instruction to, build the wall better, take it back a bit so that the space is free for cars to pass through. So basically, that's
the first site, is it opposite McCarthy Hill?
Yes.
It's opposite there.
So it links, it's around the Malam Market enclave, and then, Kitech Tower at Malam Junction?
I don't, but 2 years ago there was a flooding opposite McCarthy Hill. I mean, when I went there, people were filling the Ramsar, and they were blaming the filling for the flooding that had occurred. It was quite dangerous. And that's why when you speak about the first, I want to know if that, because people were still failing.
Exactly.
And if they didn't go there, then they have to target that area too.
Exactly why the regional minister, Linda Okulu, has ordered that the place is dark. The place has to be mushy, but they have filled it with rocks.
Yeah.
And when it's a mushy area, it can absorb some water.
Oh, yes.
Yes. But the way they filled it, it will be difficult for absorption to occur. Okay. So she has instructed that the place is dug out and secured 24/7. So
we need to keep tabs on it to ensure that what she said, they're actually doing them. People build anyhow. We are thinking, we think we know much more than God. But there was a reason those Ramsar were created by nature, but we want to recapture them. But great work there. That is, so what you're seeing on the screens now is the walls that were broken down at this Ramsar site. So this is from Dansuman area, I guess.
Yes,
this wall is from Dansuman.
Demolition was still ongoing, but when we left the place, everything had been pulled down. Yeah.
Okay, but did you get? Wow, this is quite a huge structure. Just a wall, but around a very big land.
Yeah, the last structure that was pulled down was. You can tell the building. There were a lot of rooms, and I just know the person has lost a lot because everything has come down now.
Wow, interesting. But we know the other Ramsar sites. Do you know the regional minister, whether she will be going to other places?
The update I got right after this exercise is that tomorrow they'll be going to Tema Ramsar.
Tomorrow?
Tomorrow, God willing.
Okay.
They'll be going to Tema Ramsar site, amongst others, to monitor if the directive given by the president is ongoing. Okay. And if it's not, I'm sure they have ways and means of getting it to start. So
okay.
I'm sure they'll go with the national securities and then NADMO as well.
The sustainability is the issue. We know that during the NPP time.
I mean, this is not the first time this is happening, but people still go ahead
demolished.
to build there.
Anyway, let's see how it goes, yeah?
Okay.
So that's Adobia there. She was part of the regional minister's entourage who visited Sam Ramsar site today. And tomorrow we understand they will be in Tema. If you live there, probably you need to warn yourself that you are in danger. But